Imagine waking up on December 1st, and your entire neighborhood's Christmas decorations are gone. Overnight, the HOA erased every light, wreath, and inflatable Santa. This is Willow Creek Estates, and the residents are not happy. It started on a chilly December morning, the kind where frost clings to the windows and every breath feels like smoke. The residents of Willow Creek Estates awoke to a shocking sight. Their streets were barren. Christmas decorations, lights, wreaths, snowmen, inflatable Santas had vanished overnight. Not a single ornament remained. For many, it was more than just a minor annoyance. It felt like someone had stolen the joy of the season. At first, people assumed it was a prank or a mistake. But as neighbors gathered outside, murmuring and pointing at their empty lawns, the realization dawned: the HOA had done this. Margaret, a retired school teacher who had lived in Willow Creek Estates for 20 years, was the first to speak. "This is absurd," she said, her voice trembling with anger. "I've been putting up my decorations since the day after Thanksgiving. And now, nothing. Just nothing." Across the street, a young father named Jason shook his head. "Do they even have the right to do this? I mean, it's Christmas." The HOA board, notoriously strict but usually invisible, had sent a brief notice days earlier. In tiny, almost unreadable font, it stated that all decorations had to be approved and anything unapproved would be removed. Nobody had read it. Nobody ever did, but now every light and every ornament had disappeared. By noon, the neighborhood was buzzing. Groups of residents stormed to the HOA office, a small windowless building at the edge of the community. At the front desk sat Eleanor, the board secretary, who looked as cheerful as a snowstorm. I don't understand," Jason began, his frustration barely contained. "All of our decorations? Gone? Why?" Eleanor adjusted her glasses and smiled tightly. "It's for the community's aesthetic standards. You see, only approved decorations are allowed, and yours were not submitted in time." "Submitted in time?" Margaret barked. "I've lived here 20 years and never once had to submit a form for my Christmas lights." Eleanor's smile didn't waver. "Rules change. You should have checked the new guidelines." Jason felt a surge of disbelief. "Guidelines? You could have at least told us." Eleanor shook her head almost sadly. "We did. Notices were posted on the HOA website and mailed to residents. You must have missed them." Outside, tension escalated. Some residents, already frustrated by long-standing HOA rules about lawn height and mailbox design, were seeing red. The idea that an invisible bureaucratic force could swoop in overnight and erase months of planning and Christmas cheer felt surreal. A meeting was called for that evening at the community center. Every resident packed into the small room, the air electric with anger, frustration, and disbelief. Jason, Margaret, and others demanded answers. The HOA president, a stern man named Gerald, took the stage. He was known for his love of order and his dislike of any deviation from the rules. "Good evening," he began, his voice calm but cold. "We understand that the removal of decorations has caused distress. However, rules are rules. Any violation must be addressed." Margaret could barely contain herself. "This isn't just a rule violation. You wiped out an entire neighborhood's holiday spirit. We're talking about children, families, joy. How can you be so heartless?" Gerald folded his hands. "Our duty is to the community as a whole. Individual sentiments, while understandable, cannot override the standards we have established." A murmur of outrage swept the room. Jason stood, gripping the edge of a chair. "This is insane. You can't just dictate happiness. You can't decide what brings joy to people's homes." The argument escalated. Residents brought up fines, years of strict enforcement, and the opaque nature of the HOA's decisions. Yet Gerald and his board remained unmoved. The meeting ended in a stalemate, but whispers of rebellion began circulating immediately. The next morning, something extraordinary happened. Every resident who had decorations removed received a mysterious package at their doorstep. Inside were new lights, wreaths, and ornaments, some even hand-painted. There was no note, no indication of who had sent them, only a simple message: "Joy belongs to everyone. Reclaim it." Suddenly, the neighborhood felt alive again. Families rushed to set up their decorations, and the streets, once barren, shimmered with color. People laughed and hugged, and even Gerald paused at the sight of the glowing homes. It wasn't long before a local reporter arrived, intrigued by the story of the mysterious Christmas packages. "Do you know who sent these?" she asked Margaret, camera rolling. Margaret shook her head, smiling despite the cold. "No, but I think I think it doesn't matter. Someone reminded us what this neighborhood is really about. Not rules, not fines, not bureaucracy, just people. The story spread, and soon the HOA board, embarrassed and under public scrutiny, reconsidered their approach. A new policy was implemented, more transparent, more flexible, and, most importantly, kinder. By Christmas Eve, Willow Creek Estates had transformed into a winter wonderland, every street alive with light, laughter, and music. Children ran from house to house, marveling at displays that seemed impossible just days before. Adults shared hot cocoa and stories of rebellion, joy, and the strange magic of an invisible hand that reminded them of what really mattered. Jason stood outside his home, watching his children dance around the lights he'd thought were gone forever. He felt a warmth that had little to do with the holiday lights and everything to do with community. Margaret joined him, holding a cup of cocoa. "You know," she said softly, "maybe this is a lesson for all of us. Sometimes rules matter, but sometimes heart matters more." Jason nodded. "And sometimes the people who remind us of that heart are the ones we never see." As snow began to fall softly over Willow Creek Estates, every home glowed, not just with Christmas lights, but with the reminder that a neighborhood is more than rules and regulations. It's the people who live there, the joy they share, and the quiet acts of kindness that make even the strictest community come alive. And somewhere, unseen, the mysterious benefactor watched as the neighborhood reclaimed its spirit. Perhaps it was one resident, perhaps many. But the lesson remained. Even the most rigid rules can't extinguish the light of joy when people choose to fight for it. The HOA may have tried to erase Christmas, but they hadn't counted on the community's heart. And in the end, that heart proved stronger than any rule, any fine, and any board of self-important administrators.